Welcome back to my channel, and for anyone who is new, welcome, and welcome back to a brand new episode of The Urban Gardener. I'm loving this series. I hope you guys are enjoying it just as much. Today's video is a little bit different from the past 3 episodes I've done, but it fits right in line with it. Today is going to be all the supplies that we use on our vegetable garden, from the build of it to right what we actually put in the garden. So before we get into the video, if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more from my channel, hit that subscribe button down below, but don't forget to turn on the bell icon so you'll always know when I post a new video. I post a new video every Tuesday and Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that, guys, let's get into the video. Okay, so let's start with the first thing, and that is the wood that we put around our garden. So we've actually used a mix of different woods. A lot of woods we've reused from other things. And my grandfather built all of this garden by himself mostly, and he did a really good job. So just an example of some of the wood we used. This is a 2x4 piece of sienna wood, and this actually is around a lot of the garden because for the extension part we actually had to build out because we extended it this year. So yeah, this is the wood that's mainly around the newer part of the garden, whereas the older part of the garden is more like a lattice wood, reused woods, those type of things. So with the wood, they're all kind of different sizes. There's some poles, there's some planks, there's some little pieces, long pieces. It depends on what kind of garden you want to build and want to make. So I think I've showed you guys the garden. I will put it in here again for you guys to see. But yeah, so this is the wood we use. And the wood you use is totally dependent on where you live, your weather. We live in Ontario, Canada. We get really, really hot summers, really, really cold winters, lots of snow in the winter. So this garden, again, is only through the summer, spring months, and fall. So yeah, that's the wood we use. And like I said, it's going to depend on where you live as to what wood that you might have better access to. This just came from our local home hardware. Okay, so let's talk about the actual brackets that hold this together. So on the outside, a lot of the wood is held down by L brackets. That's what connect like the long poles to the bottom piece. And then we also have a lot of these pieces along the sides. I'm not 100% sure the name. I will put it on the screen here for you guys. But yeah, so that's a lot of the like brackets per se. And then we also have staples holding in the wire. Okay, so next let's talk about wiring, because wiring, or the outside of your garden, is really important for keeping critters out, pests out, things that you do not want eating your plants. The wiring or the fencing, depending on what you put around it, is going to keep those things out. So a lot of people will either use fencing or wood. So when you're building the outside of your garden, you might actually just completely fence the thing in. We decided not to do that, and we went with wiring. The first few years of our garden, we used this. It is a cheaper kind of plastic green wire, and while it's not the best wire out there, it did the job, and it's held up from the test of time. We still currently have some on the outside of our garden, and like I said, it's keeping the critters out and protecting our garden. So you know what, it's not the prettiest thing to look at, but it does do the job. So if you're on a bit of a budget and price is a concern with your wiring, I recommend going with this, and it'll still do the same job, it just won't look as pretty. If you've decided that the look of your garden is really important to you and wood isn't something you really are interested in doing, I recommend this. This is more along the lines of a chicken wire, and actually it's quite sturdy. It's a lot more sturdy than the plastic green wire I just showed you guys. Looks a lot nicer, more expensive, and definitely heavier. But again, it's a really good option, keeps the pests out, and like I said, it looks a bit nicer than the green wire, although both do the same job. So again, with your wire or your outside, it's really going to depend on your budget and the way you want your garden to look. I actually really like the chicken wire look. Chickens are one of the animals I want the most, so I am all for the chicken wire, and it looks really nice. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the tools that we use. So the first tool I recommend having is some type of shovel. This is just one of the shovels we have laying around. This is probably preferable. You don't want to use a snow shovel, that's kind of dumb, but yeah, so this is a really good shovel. I'm not 100% sure where this is from. My grandfather has a lot of these things that he's had over the years, so I can't exactly tell you, but I'm sure you could find one at your local Tractor Supply, Home Hardware, Home Depot, Garden Center, anything like that. I'm sure they have a shovel that's similar to this. And having a shovel is where you can dig your holes. When you're actually building the garden in the first place, you're going to need a shovel to start turfing up the ground. Yeah, so a shovel is really important. Okay, so the next tool we're going to talk about is this lawn edger. Again, same thing with the shovel. I'm sure my grandfather's had it for a while, so I'm not exactly sure where it's from, but I'm sure you can find it at your local hardware store or garden center. But what's really great of this lawn edger is that you can use it for a variety of different things. We've used this in the wintertime for snow. We've used this in the summertime. It's perfect for when you're like going around the edges and help with like when you're trying to build your garden in the first place, breaking up some of that really hard, coarse dirt. Just a variety of different things. And it's one of those tools I recommend having. It's just very useful, and I'm sure you'll probably find something to use it. There's always things that need to be done when you have a garden, so yeah, this is the next tool. Okay, so the next tool I recommend having is a rake. This is probably going to be really important to rake your ground before you plant. Just really useful tool, and I don't think you can do a garden without a rake. Again, same situation, we've had this forever. I can't tell you where it's from, but I'm sure you can find it Tractor Supply, all those places. And if you live in Canada, I will link their websites down below for you guys if you're interested in looking for some of these tools. But I won't be able to link the actual tools because a lot of these are old and reused, which is the way to go. But yeah, so again, really useful tool, something we use all the time, and probably, in my opinion, one of the most valuable tools to have when doing a garden. Okay, so this is the last tool I'm going to talk about, but it's actually one of the best tools. It is a weeder. So it's something you stick in the ground, you twist, and you pull out the weed. So much better than doing it on your hands and knees, pulling out every single weed. And again, I'm not 100% sure where this is from, probably from some kind of Home Hardware, Tractor Supply, those types of stores. But if you are looking to do a little less manual labor, this is going to be your best friend. And it's not a necessity, but it's definitely something that I'm not 100% sure on the price, but it's definitely worth whatever it is because it'll save your knees and your hands and all of that stuff. So yeah, this is a weeder, and I recommend you have one. Okay.
This is stuff we don't want. And I just shove this thing in there and I twist. And out it comes. And then you just use the rake and rake it away. So you can twist it this way, you can twist it like that. You can do whatever you want.
Perfect.
But it's a lot easier on your back.
Okay, so the next thing I recommend having is some kind of plastic bucket. Not one that you're attached to, not one that you care about what happens to it. This is going to go over your small baby plants when they're still growing. Maybe you just planted them and then you hear a frost is coming, you can put this over top. If you poke a hole in the top and you put it over top and you let the baby plant grow up so it doesn't get eaten by anything, that is really helpful. Just can do lots of things with plastic buckets. You can put your weeds in there, you can carry dirt in there, water in there. Lots of different things can be used with these plastic buckets. This one just came from Walmart, I believe. You can just get something really, really cheap. Like I said, you probably don't want to care about it too much, so I wouldn't worry about how it looks. More just, is it stable enough? And yeah, so again, something really, really useful. You can go be really, really cheap with them, and they are going to help you out. And so yeah, this is just one we use. I think this is not one that we actually put over some of the baby plants, but we use for carrying water and such. So that is why I think you guys should have a plastic container, because they have so many uses and they are super helpful. Okay, so one of the most basic things you're going to need for any type of gardening activity is a watering can. You can use a hose if you really must, but the watering can helps with the pressure so that it's not coming out so hard and so fast on your plants, and that way you're not strapped in one area with the hose. You can take this elsewhere, and I mean, you can't really do a garden without a watering can. This one just came from, would it come from Walmart? Yeah. This one just came from Walmart. That's my Nana back there, if you can see her, I'm not sure, but again, it was just something really cheap. You don't need it to look really fancy. If you want it to look fancy and you want to get one of the metal ones or the ones with pattern, go for it. We just went with something really cheap that does the job. Okay, so the last kind of tool you're going to need, or item you're going to need, is a pair of gloves. So when you're weeding, when you're planting, you shouldn't really plant with bare hands. You can get bit by things in the dirt. You can get yourself hurt on some kind of weeds, and I mean, I don't really want dirt all in my fingernails either. So some type of work glove or gardening glove. I shown a pair of blue ones in my first episode, I believe, and those came from the dollar store. These are a bit more expensive. They're more of a work glove material, but depending on your budget, if you want a patterned one, if you want more expensive or less expensive, the gloves will be totally up to you, but I recommend you do have a pair that you can throw on and do some work on, so you're not using your bare hands. You're protecting yourself and kind of keeping yourself a little more clean. Even though gardening is a bit of a dirty job, you don't want that dirt in your fingernails and such. So okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you guys is the dirt. You can use whatever type of dirt you want. We use compost, so this is going to be gross, but this is our compost bin. So that is actually the top where things go in, and then at the bottom is the stuff we actually take out and put in our garden. So I'll bring you guys over here. All this dirt in here is from the compost. It's all reusable, biodegradable food and everything like that. And a fun fact about using compost dirt is sometimes things pop up. So I'll show you guys here. This is our herb bin, and it was compost dirt, and we now have little corns growing here that we didn't plan for. They just started popping up, but it's a fun little surprise, and you never know what might pop up. We've had different things over the years, so yeah, it's a fun way to help the earth. And if you have the garden or the space, I definitely recommend you doing it. I will link a video down below of how to compost properly so that you don't have the smells and the bugs and everything, but I definitely recommend, if you can, compost. Okay guys, so I apologize for the noise, but here is probably the coolest thing we have for our garden. My grandfather installed a rain barrel system, so we collect rainwater, and that is what we use to water our garden. Saves us some money on not using the hose or the town water, and it's also really good for the environment. So here's one rain barrel, and we're going to show you the other one, and my Nana here is going to actually show you how it works. Okay, so here's the second rain barrel, and this is the one we use to fill up our watering cans. It's kind of in the back here, but I hope you can see. So there's a little hose part that there's a little hose bit that comes off of it, and that is how you actually put the water into the watering can. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulties. Like I said, my grandfather designed this system, but okay, my Nana's got it, and she's going to show us how it works. So you just turn it on, and then you fill up the watering can, and then once you're done, you turn it off and reattach it back onto the barrel. Okay everyone, that is the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed taking a look at some of the tools I recommend having for a garden. We generally do have a really successful garden. We're not professionals by any means, but those are just some of the things that we personally use on our garden. This video is not sponsored, so any of the links down below are simply just to the websites where you may be able to find some of those tools. I make no money off this video, so just putting that out there. But if you like this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more from my channel, hit that subscribe button down below. But don't forget to turn the bell icon so you always know when I post a new video. I post a new video every Tuesday and Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that guys, Milque and Luna love you. Peace, hugs, and hippie love. Bye! Luna! Are you the star of the video? Huh? So everybody only come here to see you? Yeah? Ready, set, go!